Hello guys, in our today's video presentation, we will be able to talk about the component method, wherein this is another method in order for us to determine the resultant vector of two or more vectors involved in the plane. Okay, ginagamit natin ang component method. Okay, ulitin ko, ginagamit natin ang component method. Okay, when there are two or more vectors involved in the plane. Okay, and right now, okay, kung napanood niyo ang ating previous video presentation, okay, we used the sine cosine laws to determine the resultant vector, okay, in the plane. Okay, but in this case, kung paano kung kukunin natin ang resultant vector ng two or more vectors in the plane. Okay, ano ang gagamitin natin method? What is component method? How to use component method and how to deal with specific problems involving vectors or determining the result of vectors and using a what we call component method. Let's start, guys. Okay, so in this situation, okay, let us understand first what is a component method. What is a component method? Okay. Component method. Okay. From the word itself, meron tayong tinatawag na component. Okay. What do you mean by the word component? Okay. Other terms, okay, related to a word component, that is a part. Okay. So when we are talking about component method, we are talking about the part of a specific vectors in the plane. Okay. For example, if we have this vector, okay, this is vector A, suppose, and suppose that vector A is equivalent to 5.0 meters, okay. In reference to the horizon, we have an angle involved that is equivalent to 30 degrees, and that 30 degrees, okay, that 30 degrees is the angle of the location or the direction of the vector. In this case, this is 30 degrees north of east. So suppose that our B sub A, vector A is 5 meters, 30 degrees north of east. That is north of east. Okay? O for example, yan, meron tayong vector A na meron siyang magnitude na 5 meters, meron siyang direction 30 degrees north of east. In this case, to analyze its component, kamukha na sinabi ko kanina, in order for us to use the component method, kailangan nating ma-analyze muna ang component involved ng isang vector. Okay, in this vector, we have vector A. Sulat ko lang ulit dito. Copying ko lang. That is vector A. This vector A has a component in the horizontal axis and in the vertical axis. Okay? Paano ba nabuo ang vector A na yan? Because of the combination of its component. Ang kanyang component ay papunta sa direction ng east. Okay, that is eastward the direction, at papunta naman sa northward ang direction in vertical position. Okay? So this is the vector A in the x component. That is the component of vector A in the x direction, and the vector vector A component in y direction. So ang component niya, guys, meron tayong vector ax sub x and vector A sub y. Okay? Nabuo ang vector A because of the combination of vector A sub x and vector A sub y. Okay, in that case, okay, since the angle is in reference to the eastward position or eastward direction, nandito ang angle theta equivalent to 30 degrees, and the intersection of B sub AX and B sub AY form, since ito horizontal to, yon vertical, form a what we call 90 degrees angle. Okay, to analyze vector A, we constructed a what we call right triangle. So lahat ng right triangle, okay, right triangle methods sa mathematics, okay, we'll be using them. Like for example, in order for us to determine the vector or the resultant vector of two or more vectors involved in the plane, to determine its magnitude, okay, kunin natin lahat ng x component, the sum of all x component, kunin natin yon lahat, and the sum of all y component. That is summation, meaning to say sum. Okay, kunin natin lahat ng x component and y component, pag-add natin lahat yon. Okay, take note that the v sub ax in this situation, v sub ax is positive because it is going to the right, okay, of the plane, and v sub ay is going upward. That is also positive, okay, merong okay, so we have that thing. Okay, kung meron pa tayong v sub b, okay, v sub b, suppose that this is v sub b, okay, another vector siya, okay, magkakaroon din siya ng component in the x direction and component in the y direction. Okay, kunin natin ang lahat ng x component, v sub ax, pag-add natin yon, and v sub bx will be determining the summation of x. Okay, and then determine the v sub ay plus v sub by, pag-add yon, makukuha natin ang sum ng lahat ng y. Okay, in that case, makakabuo tayo ng tinatawag nilang component ng dalawang vectors. Okay, suppose that vector A and vector B. And then we'll be using the Pythagorean theorem since there is an involvement of a what we call right triangle. Okay, so we will be using Pythagorean theorem to determine sorry for that, okay, to determine the magnitude of the resultant vector. Okay, and then by means of trigonometric ratio, specifically the tangent trigonometric ratio, tangent theta equals opposite over adjacent, we can determine the direction involved or the angle involved of those specific vectors in the plane or the resultant vector. Okay, so let's start. Okay, I'll be sharing a screen. Okay, share ko lang ang screen natin. Okay, so yan. So for this, kasing ko lang yun. Okay. So we have this example. Suppose we have a jogger runs 4 meters, 40 degrees north of east. Okay. So abang-abang binabasa natin, sulat na lang natin, no? So jogger runs 4 meters, 40 degrees north of east. In this case, that is 40 meters, 40 degrees north of east. That is a displacement. Okay. So displacement A is 4 meters, 40 degrees north of east. And then we have B, displacement B. Okay, ayusin lang natin, no? This is 53, not 5 over 3. Okay, 53. Ayan. So we have vector B or displacement B denoted as 53 meters. 5.3 meters. That is not 53. Sorry again. This is 5.3 meters. Okay. Yan, 5.3 meters. Then we have 30 degrees south of west. Then we have D sub C, the displacement C, equivalent to 6.5 meters going southward, and then stop. And the jogger stops. Find the resultant displacement, meaning to say the resultant vector. Okay, so how to determine the resultant vector in this case? Okay. End screen tayo, no? End screen. Okay. Start natin ang screen. Okay, pakita natin. So, yan. Meron tayong example ng D sub A, 4 meters, 40 degrees north of east. D sub B, 5.3 meters, 30 degrees south of west. And we have D sub C, 6.5 meters southward. Okay. Let us analyze the component of each vectors involved in the plane. So we have D sub A, that is 4 meters, 40 degrees north of east. Pakita natin ang D sub A. If we will be plotting this D sub A, it is look like this. Okay, something like that. that is d sub A, equivalent to 4 meters, and then 40 degrees, okay, in reference to the eastward direction. So, expect natin that this is 40 degrees. So, in this case, meron siyang component, okay, in the x direction at component in the y direction. So, this is d sub AX and d sub AY. Okay. Ang kailangan natin dito guys is to determine the d sub AX and d sub AY. Okay, kasi kailangan, tatlo yan eh. Okay, kailangan nating i-add lahat ng x component at y component na lahat ng vectors. So, kailangan natin makuha muna ang x component, tapos kunin natin yung y component ng d sub A. Ganon din gagawin natin kay d sub B. Ganon ang gagawin natin kay d sub C. Okay. Now, let us determine, okay, determine what is d sub AX. D sub AX. Okay. To determine d sub AX, look at the angle, 40 degrees. Since this is a right triangle, okay, and the opposite side of the 90-degree angle is the hypotenuse, which is the d sub A equals 4 meters. What's the relationship of d sub AX to d sub A and the 40 degrees? Okay, using the trigonometric ratio. Okay. So that is cosine, no? Cosine yun, no? Because cosine theta equivalent to adjacent over the hypotenuse, wherein the adjacent in this case is d sub AX and the hypotenuse is d sub A. Okay, solve natin. So cosine, what is the theta involved? 40 degrees. Okay, equivalent to d sub A x, that is unknown, over d sub A, that is 4 meters. Okay. Multiply, cross multiply, meron tayong over 1 dito. Cross multiply, we can determine that d sub AX is equivalent to 4 meters multiplied to cosine 40 degrees. Okay. Now, what is 4 meters multiplied to cosine 40 degrees? Okay. Solve natin. So, 4 meters. Okay. Pakita ko lang. Sorry for that. 4 multiplied to cosine 40. Make sure naka-degree ang inyong, ayan, dapat naka-degree ang inyong, ayan, naka-degree. Okay, naka-degree ang inyong calculator. We are not talking about angle. We are talking about the side of the right triangle. So, therefore, our answer will be equivalent to 3.06. Baka may gagawa sa inyo na pipindutin ito. That is incorrect. We are not talking about angle. We are talking about the side of the right triangle involved in this vector. Okay, so 3.06. Okay. D sub AX equivalent to 3.06. Okay, meters. Okay. So that is the D sub AX of D sub A. Okay, sulat lang natin. Okay. Now let us determine the D sub AY. Okay, so D sub AY, to determine D sub AY, that's not day, rather that is D sub AY. Okay, to determine D sub AY, look at the right triangle. Okay, what is the relationship of this angle to D sub AY and in respect to the hypotenuse? Okay, that is opposite. Okay, what is the trigonometric ratio that we are going to use in order for us to determine D sub AY? That is sine theta. Okay, sine theta, because sine theta is equivalent to opposite over hypotenuse, wherein opposite in this case is the D sub AY and the hypotenuse is the D sub A. Okay. So sine theta, what is theta? That is 40 degrees, equivalent D sub AY over D sub A, that is 4 meters. Okay. Cross multiply, D sub AY, sine 40 degrees, multiply to 4 meters. Okay. Sine 40 multiply to 4 meters. That is equivalent to 2.57. 2.57. Okay. Gawin ko lang red yun, no? So, D sub AY equals 2.57 meters. Okay. Now, analyze natin ang direction ng d sub ax and d sub ay. D sub ax from initial position, yan, tignan natin from initial point, okay, to the tail of the arrow d sub a, okay, papunta sa rightward direction, eastward direction, okay, ibig sabihin that is positive. Therefore, 3.06 meters is positive. D sub ay papunta sa taas, that is also positive. Okay? Ngayon, take note. We have already obtained the value of d sub ax, d sub ay. Let us move on to d sub b. Okay? Okay, move on tayo sa d sub b. Okay, so we have d sub b denoted as 5.3 meters, 30 degrees south of west. So yan ang ating d sub b. Now, to determine or to calculate or to obtain, okay, the component of d sub by, kailangan natin munang i-graph ito. So by graphs, this is south of west and 30 degrees in respect to westward direction, or our reference is westward direction. Para siyang, this is the westward direction going to the left and southward direction is going to the right. Okay, para siyang paganyan. Okay. At para siyang paganon. So we have something like this. So this is d sub b. That is d sub b. Now, this d sub b has a component, okay, yan, ayusin na lang natin, in the westward direction, in the x direction, and in the y direction. So para siyang paganyan. And the angle is in respect of the westward direction, so nandito ang angle natin. Okay, that is 30 degrees. So this is d sub b in the x direction, d sub b in the y direction. Okay. Okay. Now let us determine what is the value of d sub b x. Okay. D sub bx. To determine d sub bx, what's the relationship of this angle to d sub bx? And in respect to d sub b, that is cosine. Okay. So cosine theta equals d sub bx over d sub b. Okay. Ang tanong, kapag ba x component ang kinukuha, palaging cosine theta ang pinag-uusapan? It is not necessarily, because we are considering the direction of a specific vector. For example, in this case, the direction is in the westward, the reference of the direction, I mean, is in the westward position or westward axis, or in the left of the x-axis. Excuse me. Now, in that case, since ang reference natin is westward direction, kapag pinagpalit mo yan west of south, mag-iiba ang iyong angle. Okay? Mag-iiba ang ating reference. Okay? Ang magiging reference natin is in this direction. Okay? In that direction. Okay? In the southward direction. Therefore, mag-iiba din ang ating computation. Okay? Mag-iiba din ang trigonometric ratio. Okay? Na pag-uusapan. Okay? Kaya pakatignan natin, paka-analyze natin ang diagram. Okay? So cosine theta, what is theta? That is 30 degrees. So cosine 30 degrees equals the d sub bx. What's d sub bx? That is unknown. And we have d sub b, that is 5.3 meters. Cross multiply, we can obtain d sub bx. So what is cosine 30 degrees multiplied to 5.3 meters? Kapag nakakita kayo ng cosine 30 degrees, automatically, that is equivalent to square root of 3 over 2. So in this case, just multiply the square root of 3 over 2 and the 5.3 meters. So kung galing yung square root of 3 over 2, okay? Grade 10, if I'm not mistaken, or grade 9, kailangan naintindihan na ninyo ang unit circle. Or if I'm not mistaken, tinuturo dapat ito sa pre-calculus. Okay, wherein there is a what we call circular function In circular function, you will be able to understand the conversion of degree to radian, and then understanding the different intersection of the terminal side in respect to those radian or degrees. Okay? Kung paano man umikot yung terminal side na yon. Okay? And then after that, determining, okay, what are the values of those intersection, or what are the coordinates of those intersection. In this case, we are talking about the intersection of the terminal side in respect to 30 degrees angle, okay, in the x component. Kaya nga, kung makikita mo yan, okay, kung ito yon, okay, meron tayong circular function dyan, or I mean unit circle, that is equivalent to 1 lahat ng unit na yan, the intersection of from 0, 0 to the positive y-axis to positive x-axis, negative y-axis, and negative x-axis, 1 unit ang mga yan. Ngayon, merong tayong terminal side na umiikot. So kung ito yung terminal side, meron siyang angle dito. That angle is equivalent to 30 degrees. Meron siyang intersection here. Okay? So meron siyang x and y dyan, wherein the x is square root of 3 over 2 and y is 1/2. Okay? So alam ko familiar ang iba dyan. Okay? That's why in the x component, the cosine 30 is always be equal to square root of 3 over 2. Okay? Kung sine 30 degrees ang pinag-uusapan, therefore that is y, okay, 1/2 yun. So sine 30 degrees always be equal to 1/2. Okay, just a glimpse of or recall, okay, in the unit circle. So cosine 30 degrees, okay, kung di mo alam yan, mag-calculator ka na lang. Okay? Pero ang sinasabi ko dito, if hindi kailangan ng calculator o wala kang calculator, kailangan familiar ka sa mga yan, okay? Sa mga angle ng unit circle. Okay, so these are bx equivalent to 4.59 meters. Okay, since these are bx going to the leftward direction, therefore this is negative. Kasi papuntang left ang this are bx, so therefore negative yan. That is this are bx. Okay, now let us determine this are by. Okay, okay, to determine this are by, we'll be using sine because the relationship of this angle to this by is opposite. So sine yun. Sine theta equals the opposite over hypotenuse. Wherein opposite is this by and the hypotenuse is this b. So what is theta? That is 30 degrees equivalent to this by, which is the unknown, divided by the this b equivalent to 5.3 meters. Cross multiply. This b y is equivalent to the 1/2 of 5.3. Okay, is 2.65. Sorry, 2.65. This is 65. Sorry for that. 2.65 meters. Okay. In this case, since this by is going downward, this is negative. Okay. So meron na tayong this bx, this by, meron tayong this ay, this ax. Okay? Okay. Kunin natin ang last na vector involved. Okay? Ang vector natin, the d sub c, excuse me, is equivalent to 6.5 meters southward. Okay, south. Okay. 6.5 meters south. Okay. Kung observe natin yan, this is d sub c. By means of graph, this is south. This is d sub c, equivalent to 6.5 meters. Okay. In that case, wala na siyang component. Since alam na natin that d sub c is in the y direction. Tama? Wala siyang component sa x-axis since di siya naka-incline. Kapag naka-incline siya, meron siyang slope. Automatically, meron siyang component sa x-axis and y-axis. In this case, d sub c is in the y component only. So therefore, 6.5 meters Going downward, that is negative. Combine natin lahat na na-obtain nating data or answers, okay, in respect to the component, to their component. So we have D sub A, the summation of all x's and the summation of all y's. All x's, okay. In respect to D sub A, what is the x component of D sub A? That is D sub AX. Kanina, na-obtain natin equivalent to positive 3.06 meters. And we have its y component, D sub AY. Okay. Equals, yan, equals natin. Okay, equals to positive 2.57 meters. Okay. In respect to D sub B, we have D sub BX equivalent to negative, ayun, nakuha natin kanina, this one. Okay. So negative 4.59 meters, and D sub BY equivalent to negative 65 meters. Okay. And then we have D sub C. What is the x component of D sub C? The x component, that's 0. No x component. Well, D sub CY, wherein D sub C is equal to D sub CY, equivalent to negative 6.5 meters. Now add. Okay, add natin lahat. Kasi we need to determine all x's and all y's. Add natin lahat yan. Okay. So positive 3.6 plus negative 4.59, kamukha lang ng pag-add ng integers. Okay. That is equivalent to negative 1.53 meters. And on the other hand, we have 2.57 plus negative 2.65 plus 6.5, equivalent to negative 6.58. So this is the summation of y. This is the summation of x. Okay. Now we already obtained the summation of x and summation of y, the sum of all x's and y components of those vectors. Okay. Okay. Now let us construct the diagram. Okay. In this case, we have negative x component. By diagram, we have negative x component. So we have x component. This is the initial position going to the left. So this is the summation of x equivalent to negative 1.53 meters. Okay. Pero kung halimbawa positive yan, hindi ibig sabihin papunta sa right. Okay. And then we have, continue lang natin ito. Okay. Continue lang natin yan. We have summation of y going downward since it is negative. So negative yan. Continue natin yun. So suppose this is summation of y equivalent to negative 6.58 meters. Okay. Yeah. Now we have the resultant vector look like this from initial point to final point. Something like that. Okay. This is now the displacement vector d sub r. Yun ang pinapakod the resultant displacement. Okay. Since this is a 90-degree angle and that is equivalent to what we call right triangle, we can obtain this arrow, the length of this arrow, which is the magnitude, by using the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, to determine the magnitude, okay, Let us use the Pythagorean theorem, wherein the Pythagorean theorem is equivalent to c squared equals a squared plus b squared, wherein c squared is the hypotenuse. This is the hypotenuse d sub r. So palitan natin ito, magiging d sub r squared equals the a squared, kahit alin sa mga yan, the summation of x suppose squared plus the summation of y squared. Okay? So mangyayari dito, get the square root of the sum of the square root of x and y. We have d sub r equals the square root of the square of negative 1.53 squared meter squared, okay, plus negative 6.58 meters squared. So d sub r is equivalent to what? Okay. Square muna yung square muna, then add. Okay, pakita ko lang sa inyo. So 1.53 squared, okay, square root of negative. Sige, kung wala kayong ganitong calculator, first step is to determine the negative 1.53 squared plus we have negative 6.58 squared. Okay, pinag-add natin, then get the square root of that, equivalent to 6.76. Okay, 6.76. So this is 6.76 meters. Meron pa bang positive yan at negative? Wala. Walang positive at negative yan, ang 6.76. Okay, hindi na natin consider yan because we are talking about its inclination. Pero alam natin that its angle, okay, its direction, I mean, the direction involved, I mean, is going in the south of west, okay? In respect to the westward direction. Look at this, look at that. So, nandyan ang angle. Kailangan nating makuha ang angle na yan. Para siyang magiging ganito, okay? Para siyang magiging ganito, something like this. Okay? So, those are components, tama? And this is the vector quantity or the resultant vector, the d sub r. Okay. Nandun ang angle. We need to determine that angle. Okay. If we have the summation of x, the summation of x is this one, and the summation of y is that one, and the angle is in between d sub r and d sub rx, or the summation of x. Okay. Therefore, what is the relationship of that angle to summation of x and summation of y? That is tangent. Tama? Tangent. Okay. So, usog ko lang dito. To determine the direction. Okay. To determine the direction. Okay. Look at this. This is the angle. Ayan, nandyan ang angle. Ito ang angle mismo. Okay. Ang angle na to, anong relationship niya sa summation of x and summation of y? Okay. Tangent. Tama? Tangent. Okay. Kasi opposite and adjacent. So we have tangent theta equals the opposite over the adjacent. And theta is unknown. While the opposite is the summation of y and the adjacent is the summation of x. Okay. Now to determine theta, that is the inverse of the tangent. The inverse tangent of ratio summation of y over summation of x, wherein summation of y is equivalent to negative 6.58 meters. Ayun, sorry. Ayan. Pakita ko lang sa inyo. And then we have negative 1.53 meters. Okay. Gamit na ako ng red ball pen para hindi ka malito, no? Kasya ko na dito. So we have the theta. Okay. Pakita ko lang sa inyo. Okay. So first one, negative divided by negative, that is positive. So 6.58 divided by 1 shift tangent. shift tangent na pala agad. Okay, something like that. Okay, divided by 6.58 over 1.53. That is equivalent to that angle. So by the degree minute second, our answer, the angle will be 76 degree. Okay, 54 minute and 36.1 seconds. Okay. So our final answer, okay, pakita ko lang. Our final answer, we have the resultant vector d sub r equivalent to, or the displacement vector, 6.76 meters. Okay, 6.76 meters, 76 degree, 54 minute, 36.1 seconds. Okay, south of west. Why is it south of west? Okay, pakita ko lang sa inyo ulit. This is the angle. Okay, and it is the reference of the angle is in the westward direction. This is westward direction. Okay, then this is southward direction. Kaya nga, westward, then southward, ito yun. Para siyang nandito ang south. Something like that. Okay, so ito ang ating D sub R, naka reference siya o ang basis niya na direction ay westward direction. Kaya naging south of west. Eh, tingnan natin, papunta siyang south of west. So our final answer will be D sub R equals 6.76 meters. Okay, 76 degree, 54 minute, 36.1 seconds south of west. Okay. Hopefully, guys, you understand our topic for today, which is the component method. Okay, tandaan lang natin, guys, that when we are talking about component method, the first step is to determine all x's involved in those specific vectors, and then y's on those specific vectors, combine them all, okay, add them all, you will determine the summation of x, summation of y, and then make a diagram para hindi kayo malito. After making a diagram, use the Pythagorean theorem to determine the what we called magnitude of the resultant vector, and then use the tangent trigonometric ratio to determine, okay, to determine the angle involved or the direction involved. Okay, using, wag kayo masyadong magmayabang na parang, ay, alam ko na to, solve ko. Hindi, gawa pa rin kayo ng diagram para mas madali natin makuha ang result vector. Okay, so hopefully you understand our topic for today. Don't forget to subscribe our channel. Okay, don't forget to comment. Okay, kung meron man kayong gustong matutunan sa physics, you want me to make a video presentation to those topics. Sige, gagawin natin yan ng paraan. Okay? In our next video presentation, we will be dealing our first ever topic in physics, okay? The introduction of physics. This is the kinematic motion, okay? Wherein there is a specific object without its cause, kung saan ba nanggaling ang kanyang motion. Okay, wag muna natin yung pag-usapan. Or rather, we will be talking about, describing about the motion of those objects, okay? By means of describing its speed, velocity, displacement, distances, traveled, the acceleration. At the same time, let us relate the topic of calculus sa sa topic na ito, no? Excited na ako. Actually, thank you so much po, okay, sa lahat ng mga nanonood sa ating video presentation. Okay, I just want to say that God is good. Okay, God is good. Okay. Basically, I am not actually a physics major teacher. Okay, I am a mathematics major teacher. Okay, and that is being graduated in a specific institution. Okay, Angeles University Foundation. Thank you so much. Okay, nag-graduate ako doon. And nagkaroon ako ng trabaho sa Systems Plus College Foundation in Balibago City, in Balibago, Angeles City. Okay, dito sa Central Luzon. Okay, and then they have given me an opportunity to teach physics. And in that case, since fourth year pa talaga, high school, gustong-gusto ko na talaga ang physics. Ang problema nga lang, dahil walang physics dito na major, hindi ako makakuha ng physics major. Hopefully, if you have an idea kung pwede bang magkaroon o pwede bang kumuha ng bridging courses, okay? Para magkaroon ng double degree or double major, para maging double major ako. Okay, in order for me to teach physics very well, i-comment nyo lang sa section natin, paano ba ang process? At anong institution ba nagbibigay ng ganoong major, okay? Kahit sa Manila pa yan, grab natin yan, okay? Nagpapasalamat din ako because sa Systems Plus, okay, nakita ko ang aking talagang minamahal na subject, okay? Ang physics. Rather than math, I love physics very well. Okay? And at the same time, guys, I have resigned. I have resigned already in the Systems Plus College Foundation because of the DOST program. Okay, that I need to render my service. I passed the DOST program under JLSS 2017. Okay. Last December yon, no? December 31, 2017. Okay. And I'm very grateful since naging DOST scholar tayo. And basically the DOST giving me financial assistance. Okay, assistance. Sorry for that. In order for me to finish my college degree, okay? Natapos naman. And I need to render my service in the public school in order for us to strengthen our science and technology, engineering, and mathematics courses. Kaya ngayon, kahapon, okay, kinol na ako ng DepEd. Okay, pinapili ako ng school. And basically, syempre, pipiliin ko yung science school ng Angeles City. Okay. So doon, magiging junior high school teacher ako doon. Okay, under the DOST program. Thanks so much. Okay, just want to inspire you. Okay, kung kumukuha ka man ng teaching career, education career, at specifically science and technology and mathematics ang kinukuha mo. Or mathematics, ang kinukuha mo. Ito lang masasabi ko sa iyo, guys. Okay? Ito lang masasabi ko sa inyo, guys. Okay? Kung nasa third year na kayo, third year college ngayon, meron kayong opportunity to take the JLSS DOST examination. Okay? At habang hindi pa close, okay, mag-pass kayo ng requirements. Okay? Kung ano naman kayo, grade 12 kayo ngayon, okay, pwede ninyong i-take ang undergraduate program of the Department of Science and Technology Scholarship. Okay, pwede nyong i-take ang mga yan. Kapag napasa ninyo yan, okay, ang mismo DOST, ang inyong kakampi sa Pilipinas. At hindi kayo pababayaan ng DOST. Sa lahat naman ng nag-graduate as a DOST scholar, okay, mapa-engineer ka man, anong klaseng career ang tinik mo, nag-graduate ka under DOST program, huwag ninyong sasayangin, guys, na hindi kayo makapagtrabaho under DOST dahil talagang maganda ang binibigay niya talaga na benefits sa atin. Okay? So hopefully, you understand our topic for today. Again, don't forget to subscribe our video presentation. Okay? Don't forget to like, our video presentation. Don't forget to subscribe our channel, comment, and share, okay, to reach others. Okay, para sa bata, okay, take care always, lalong-lalo na sa panahon ito. Remember, God loves you.